Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Week 9 office hours. I don't know if anyone will be coming, or if not, that's okay. This will be recorded. But I know you did have hopefully you had a wonderful and blessed spring break. And, oh, hello. I'm glad someone is showing up here. I wasn't sure if you're going to show up or not, but I'm glad to see that you're here. Hi. Hope you had a lovely and blessed break. And also, midterm exam week went well for you. Good, I'm glad to hear that. Yes, all the midterm grades are listed in your grade book, so you can see your score. And perhaps by final review, we will have the example questions that we can review as part of our final review exam. That is your next exam. It's going to be week 14, I believe, and you will it'll be comprehensive for all, of course, all chapters. But being that the midterm covered the first half of the class, there'll be some questions on that, but mostly it'll be on the subjects that was talked about or explored after the midterm exam. But welcome, welcome. I'm glad to see you. We're going to get back into our routine where we're going to have office hours today, and Wednesday will be virtual class session or live lecture. We have weeks 9 through weeks 13 of material to cover, and pretty much all the chapters in the book. I would say there's not really anything that's being skipped except some of the specialized chapters on a particular operating system. We will in week 13. Hello, good, I'm glad. I'm well. I hope you are well. Thank you for asking. Again, I'm welcome back, and I'm happy to see you all and working with you again for the next few weeks. And again, I hope you had a wonderful and blessed spring break. I don't know if it's considered called spring break, but your break at any rate, and I hope your midterm exam week went well. Your grades are posted in the grade book. And again, if I am given the questions, we can review them again for the final exam. That'll be your next exam, and that would be after week 13. So the material from weeks 9 through 13 will be covered in the final exam, as well as some questions from weeks 1 through 7. So, welcome again. It's good to see you. We're back to our routine, office hours on Mondays, live lecture, virtual class on Wednesdays. And this will be a short office hour, being that we really don't have any material to review prior to, you know, the midterm exam. And also, good, I'm glad to see you as well. And so now we're covering new material, nothing to review from the past, from previously, but we will review some of that material when we study for the final exams. Hopefully the study guides I gave you helped, and I will continue to do so. There will be those practice questions or optional exercises that I will continually give you in the office hours, and then discuss the answer in the next week's office hours. And also feel free to work on the questions, bring any questions you have on them into the discussion forum. The material for week 9 is posted. Also, there is a discussion thread available for you to share your experiences on any of the mass storage devices that you may be using now or you may have seen in the workplace. So it'll give you an opportunity to, again, see what you use and what there is available to use. There's external versions, there's internal versions, so we'll be looking over those. And also, more specifically, how an operating system manages, you know, external or mass storage devices. Again, this class is about operating systems. We so far went over various types of management already. Such as process management, memory management, all the topics you loved and learned about through the previous weeks. And then now we're going to start going into devices and various options there. So This week we're going to be covering mass storage devices, something that you use all the time whenever you make a hard copy, make a copy, a permanent copy of any of your work. So we're going to be covering Chapter 12, and modern disk drives are structured as large one-dimensional arrays of logical disk blocks. So we're going to look at how the information stored on a disk drive is then translated to a program and a data structure so that it can be used and obviously read into memory and written out into a disk drive or written to memory. So each disk input-output request specifies the address on the disk to be referenced in the form of a logical block number. We've already looked at logical memory addressing. We had a lot of logical memory as opposed to physical memory. So again, we're going to have some kind of physical device, and we have to somehow make some logical sense out of it so that we can logically reference material that's stored on it. So that's basically how these operating systems work. And typically the most time in anything you do on a computer, the items that take the longest amount of time is reading or writing to these external devices. So we'll be looking at various disk scheduling algorithms, how to improve them for response, bandwidth, and so on. And also fragmentation. So hopefully all of you do disk defragmentation when you do your system routine maintenance, because when information is put on a disk and then deleted and new information comes in, there's various strategies as to how to fill up those blank spaces. Sometimes those blank spaces are too small for an entire file to be stored in it, so it'll break up that file into several pieces. And then every time you want to look at that file, those pieces are put back together and then loaded into memory. But by putting all those pieces together, it takes time. So this defragmentation is a system tool, one of them, that helps to make sure to put everything in contiguous sections or sectors. So we'll be looking at all of that. So a lot of good information that you'll be observing this week, and also it's information you would have some contact with. It's something you've been using. It's something that you have. So now you're going to see how it actually works. Everybody can hear me okay, yes? I forgot to ask you, and I'm just talking. Okay, good. Okay, so the topics of items we're going to be discussing is overview, disk structure, disk attachment, disk scheduling, disk management, swap space management, IID structure, stable storage implementation. So we're going to have, again, this is operating systems, as we know from the beginning of this class. Operating systems are very complex and sophisticated programs, and they do use complex and sophisticated logic in order to manage all of the items that it needs to manage so that we could use the computer. And also the more demands on the new applications these days, there's a high demand for all these resources, higher demand for memory, higher demand for storage. And we even looked virtual memory, how to use some of this mass storage as virtual memory so we can kind of extend our real memory a little bit so we can accommodate some of these large programs, programs with a lot of graphics or a lot of video. They're very large, and they typically can't fit into memory at all one time. So we looked at how we extended our memory and used some of the disk perhaps for cache or for virtual memory. And now we're going to look at these disk drives as to use them as they are, and that's for permanent storage. So what are the strategies for this permanent storage? How does it keep track when it puts something on this disk? How does it know when it needs to get it, where it is? So there's a recording. There's different parts to these disk drives, and each are labeled. They typically have, you can consider it as an address as well. So it may be on what track. If you listen to CDs, you're already familiar with tracks, or DVDs. So you're familiar with tracks, and you can jump to a track. But it's a specific track on a specific side of a CD. So that's part of the strategies that we're looking at. And tapes, there's tapes, and that's just sequential. I don't know, you're fairly young, so I don't know if you even know what a VHS tape is anymore. Everything these days on CDs and DVDs. So, but a lot of companies will still have tapes, and they'll have still their legacy information. A lot of companies that are established will have a variety of these devices because they had them before there were, DVDs. They did have something to store their information on. Sometimes they convert everything then to the newest technology, and sometimes they don't. They just leave it where it is and use it when they need it. So it all depends on the company, but the older the company is, more than likely you'll have a variety of storage and strategies in dealing with it, and saving it, storing it, backing up, recovery. So we'll be looking at a lot of those items. And as usual, you have chapters to read, and then you also have your videos. So please make sure to view those, especially before the virtual class. So if you have any questions, you can then ask them. And you have an exercise for this week to answer this question. And then, as always, I'm offering you some optional exercises. So I have 10 optional exercises here. So work together on them or do them yourself, but we'll go over this then on next Monday. But again, hopefully these are helpful for you when you are studying for the exams. Some of the questions may be the same that you find on the exam, or some of them will explore topics that will be on the exam. So you have these optional exercises. You have all week. You can work with them. If you have any questions, bring them into the discussion forum. And again, I do have a discussion thread already started out there just for you to share your experiences. It's a good idea for you to know, what do you have on your laptop? What do you have on your smartphone? What kind of storage devices are these? It's good for you to be current and have information. What is the manufacturer? What is its size? What is its speed? So these are all good items for you then to start exploring now for what you have in front of you. You would have a laptop or a desktop or a smartphone or an iPad. So whatever device you have, know them all. Know what you have on all of them. If you want to be an IT professional, you need to be familiar with everything that's out there. And then if you work or you work at a place, what do they have? What do they use? It'll probably be a little bit more or different than what you use in your personal life. What does the school use? There's another good area for you to use as a case study. So the more familiar you are with different environments, the better off you are in the workplace, because you have this knowledge. You are aware of what's around you, and then you know how to look for information. Say you go to a new environment, you'll have a better idea what to look for. What is it that you need to know? So we'll be going over that this week. And again, I mentioned this is going to be a short office hours unless you have any questions. But this way you can just use this time or extra time to start, working on the material for week 9. But there's nothing for me to review from previous weeks since we kind of had the exam. Again, your scores are posted in the grade book. For the most part, you did a good job. You will have the final exam, so in case you didn't do as well, then make sure you study and you do very well for the final exam. Or if you did well, then keep doing what you're doing so that you do well on the final exam. And then again, we'll have assignments every week as usual. And then any questions you have, again, don't hesitate to bring them in the discussion forum and share any resources or links you have. You've been doing that very nicely before. You're all a wonderful group here, and you like to work together and help each other out. And that's very good, and it's a good strategy. And sometimes they say when you start trying to explain something to someone else, then it makes it stronger for you to understand it. And also it retains in your memory better. So the more you talk about it, the more you read about it, the more you view videos on it, the more you'll know it. So if there's not any questions, again, this is going to be a short one unless you have any questions. If not, I'll leave you to have this extra time then to study. Maybe you can even work together since you're all together, work on these questions and what have you. So if there's no questions, then I'll let you have another day like your break. This will be a short one today unless you have more going on today. But we'll be in the same spirit as your break that you had and just kind of ease you into the workload again. But if you have the extra time, start working on it. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, then I'll say have a wonderful day or evening, and I will see you on Wednesday, and I will see you in the discussion forum. Okay, so have a wonderful day. You too. Thank you, and you have a nice day as well.